bots shooting the shit out of each other. We have probably, well, you could argue the two best teams here. Nod, collection of a number of different units, and the first Jaguar guards, who have blown away more or less everyone they've faced so far in the tournament. I'm here co-casting with Level. Say hi, Level.
What's up, everybody?
And hopefully we'll get the 1v1 pilots in here for the match. I am echoing.
Yes. That could be on my end. Let me see.
Do you have your speaker set up? Because it's not on my end.
Double checking. Let's see if this works.
Testing.
How's that?
All right.
Any more double?
A little bit, but
we're still waiting on Pasha to get in. He shows him deployed. We have the Nods champion Stimrog already in and waiting.
Well, while we wait for him, we can take a look at the 1v1 mech that we've been using this week. We've seen a lot of decent matches. The meta has kind of developed as we've watched the week go on. It seems that going for legs is definitely the better answer instead of trying to shoot the CT. Unless you can get that critical headshot, the head armor is low enough you can survive the AC-20 or the PPC, but if you get hit by both of them, boom. So if ever falling behind, it is the Hail Mary option. But I don't know. With this being Mech Factory, it's kind of taken a lot of the strikes, the UAVs, and a lot of other things out of the picture. It's a lot more of a skill-based matchup than we've seen in previous weeks. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no way to cheese your way through this. You can't hide back and drop strikes to weaken your opponent before you go in for the kill. You have to. It's full skill all the way. That and both the weapons don't really fire very fast. I mean, the snub, I guess, has decent velocity, but at AC-20, even at a couple 100 meters, you still have to because of how slow the round is, you have to aim to compensate for the lack of velocity. It can be even hard, even at, like I said, at 200-300 meters to hit something exactly where you want. You can aim CT and then hit the side torso instead, which can suck.
The other thing I really like about this mech and the way they've built it, it's all pinpoint. So there's a lot of twisting, there's a lot of skill in trying to bait shots. It's a lot different than the MRMs and other things we've seen going forward from week one. So it's been very, very interesting watching these 1v1 fights. About the closest thing we've seen was the triple PPC summoner. So
I never liked that triple PPC summoner.
It's hot as balls, man.
Yeah, it's way too hot for my liking. I like to be able to fire as not necessarily as much as I want before I'm at risk of dying from self-destruction, but I like to get more than just one or two shots off before I have to duck back and cool.
So you're a fan of you're a fan of the double PPCs and the targeting computer?
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Well, as we all sit here waiting on Pasha, any particular people you're watching out for in this match? I know we've got a lot of big names in here.
Well, as always for GGX, I expect Pasha and Kras to go hand in hand and go wreck something together. And prancing through a field. I just see those two in The Sound of Music, kind of Esquire kind of thing going on. But from Nod's side, I mean, you have ex-EMP guys like Stimrog and Bowser, who are just some of the hardest players in the game. To try to take them on is a monumental effort. So they'll be bringing the skill, especially for their team. Their team is a bit of a kind of like the patchwork quilt, where it's more of a collection of friends than it is a unit-based team. They've been doing really good, but that's just because they have a lot of raw talent on their team. But Kong Lord, he's a hell of a character. He might not have the skill of Bowser Stimrog, but he makes up for it in personality, absolutely. And he's still not a joke.
Well, I think as the tournaments got on, they've gotten better just because they've managed to gel a little bit better, get a couple more practices in. So they've really gotten the aggression dialed in. And you can really see that through the results. I mean, they lost to RJF, and they actually lost to their Div B team last week. But
Smoke Adders, yeah. But to be fair, on Smoke Adders front, the Smoke Adders brought their A game, and they came to win. You know, they went all out and gave it their all, and they were able to topple Nod, which was a hell of an upset. I mean, that was a game to watch. Oh, both sides are finally ready.
all right, well, let's go get straight into this action. All right,
Okay.
Stimrog, Pasha, PPCs everywhere. I mean, both these guys submitted builds for the 1v1 competition. Let's go.
All right, we are launching.
I've not seen too many of the garish, horrible paint designs. It's been a very pleasant week as far as not needing any eye bleach so far. Let's see if that can continue, hopefully. As we take a look here.
Well, I looked in the elevator for Stimrog. It looks like he went with a plain black bushy like everyone else. What about Pasha? Pasha's is gray,
Pasha's
but it's still just plain.
So we're once again saved from horrible nightmares of bright pinks and bolt-ons everywhere. But they're both headed towards the right side, so we're going to get some action fairly quickly here as we follow Stimrog in. It seems to be the play to go on the catwalk and try and secure that first. You've got this little alcove here that Stimrog's heading into, and it generally devolves into a close-range fight up top. Whoever falls off first loses the ability to shoot legs, so we're going to see if either of these guys have
neither
seismic.
of them know neither of them know where each other are. Oh, Stimrog got the first shot in the Pasha's back.
Well, it's safe to say one of them knows, and now Pasha's looking for him.
But he missed the back. He ended up hitting Pasha's arm.
Ooh, that's going to really cost him as this fight drags on.
Yeah, that was a perfect back shot, and he missed. And here comes the slugging match.
I mean, they lose 5% with every alpha, so it's going to really start... Whoa!
Look at that back shot from Pasha! Stimrog gave his back just 1 second too long, and Pasha capitalized on it. Instant court out. Stimrog, he took one hit to his CT, one hit to his side torso from the front, and then from the back, instant.
I am speechless. He had to have gotten one of the other shots hit registered on the back. So, I mean, blowing open that one back armor these things carry, and then following it up, 2 shots, 80% to dead. I mean, 110 damage to 90. Brutal fight.
This is probably the smallest damage score of any of the 1v1s, including the spider fight. I think the spider fights even had more damage than that. And that was a friggin' spider.
Well, I mean, we could take a look at the stats here, but 110 damage, like 2 back shots. Incredible. Well, I guess we know why these guys are at the Div A level and why these guys are winning all their matches. Turns out JGX is pretty good. Who knew? Well, let's take a look at the map strat for...
Stimrog asked for a redrop. I'm trying to see if he was being serious or not.
Well, that's kind of up to Pasha, but... Yeah, Pasha's saying no. I'm not going to allow a redrop unless both of them want it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, in instances like that, yeah, it's up to your opponent. But from my angle, that looked like a clean back shot. I don't think it was a hit registration issue where the shot went into the side torso and then registered on the back. I'm pretty sure it was a straight back shot.
I'm pretty sure Pasha's just that good. Like, I'm sorry it hurt Stimrog, but he got you. Because he pushed up, and while Pasha was on top of the mound of garbage, like
uh, yeah, when Stimrog went into the alcove and took that high ground, I thought for sure he was just going to stay up there. But I think he went for that back shot on Pasha there at the very beginning, whiffed it, hit that arm, well, almost blew that arm completely off, and then I think that's when he dove down off that high ground. Probably shouldn't have gave up the high ground right away. So far, the team that in these matches this week, the bushwhacker that keeps the high ground the longest has usually been the one that wins.
It's all about shielding those legs, considering how well you can shield the side torsos, and it being a standard engine. So, all right, they've elected to take Team 2, and we're gonna start Stimrog on the clock. 5 minutes. Get everything set up in here. Meanwhile, we can go take a look at the maps. An interesting rundown today. We've got Forest Colony Classic. We've got Alpine Peaks with the Gamma Cap Point, which is the red-headed stepchild of all of these. No one has ever cared about Gamma, but now it is the only cap point. RUBELLITE, which will play out fairly standard. I mean, Theta. And whoever secures more or less the high grounds up top on left and right, and the right side cover has tended to win that. Should see a lot of mid-range Daka. Terra Therma, which has become infested with clags and desperately needs some AMS fumigation. And the Epsilon cap of Tourmaline Desert, where we've seen alpha to alpha contact almost immediately for just about every drop so far this tournament, or at least this week.
Oh yeah, they're especially on Tourmaline, both those drop zones have Overwatch over each other's drop zone, right? So this has been one of those maps that either gets dragged out really long if both teams like run away from each other, but if one team pushes at the other one right away from the start, this match has always ended in like 2 minutes or less. Because I just think that this whole Epsilon cap idea was super clever. To force to show people that you can make a more of a mid-range, close range idea on one of the premier long-range trading maps.
Well, let's focus on the light fight we're going to see at Forest Colony. We've seen a lot of different mediums being dragged out here, but no real silver bullets. I've seen lots of crabs, bushwhackers, huntsmans. All of them got lagged all in the first couple minutes, usually 130 damage, maybe less. So it's been a hard solution because you don't want to give up the tonnage by just dragging in a Vindicator or a Vulcan, but you really... They've not been able to do much with the bigger mechs. What have you seen as far as taking a medium on this that's worked out?
Well, we've actually seen. I think almost every team had a different idea for what medium to take. I mean, we've seen Griffins, Novas. I think we've even seen a Kentaro, which was a weird choice, but clever if its only reason to exist is like just to hit the enemy medium and then just absorb as much damage for it dies. There hasn't really been like a medium that's been outperforming the others. Generally in this drop, the mediums have always been usually the first mechs to die. I think the longest surviving was an Uzil. I don't remember which team brought it, but I believe that was the medium that survived the longest and was able to do the most damage on this map this week.
Well, how are our teams doing? Are they mostly set up at this point?
Team 2 is actually almost done. Team 1 has only brought in one person so far, and they're down to 2 minutes.
Oh, well. Keep filling time here, I guess. We know your great love of tunnel pushes level, but I'm expecting a lot more play in the water just for the heat sinks on the feet of the clan mechs, and I mean,
yes, you cannot do a tunnel push on this one because it's way out in the middle of nowhere for this, which is unfortunate. Tunnel pushes rule.
I don't know. The light fights have really coalesced around this rock here. Usually, whoever ends up holding it has that is the wrong tool for this, but I'm committed now. It's been a key piece of terrain for Team 2. you've got the high ground. You can get a lot of jump jet lights up there that can fire over. If the fight takes place in the water, I mean, it's a light fight. It's more who can aggress better, who's got the better focus fire, and who's got the better shots. I mean, though, with the caliber of players we're dealing with here, I'm not expecting anything other than, near perfect focus fire and a legs being blown off with every alpha salvo.
Yeah, I am curious how both these teams are going to, where they're going to position it. Especially the veterans on both teams, the ones that used to play this map back when it was in rotation before it got pulled from rotation back in the day. They'll probably still have some clever strats from back then that they might see. So we might see something we have not yet seen so far this week.
Old
with
farts. Speaking of, it is Mother's Day, so all the mech dads out there should go be somewhat appreciative to their. Well,
I am curious if
wives spawn. Nah, forget it.
I'm curious if they're gonna if Team One holds behind this cover here, because especially since everyone knows everyone's going for legs, you can get just your torso peeking over this ridge line right here. It requires more closer to mid-range weapons because MPLs just won't have the range to really do it. But I mean, you can always get something like a Vapor Eagle set up here or over here. I do expect the teams to maybe each team. I expect JGX at least to probably have a UAC and PPC Vapor Eagle with Overwatch, whose whole existence is to alpha something in the legs and just kite. Looks like Team 1 is locked.
Okay, well, we put Team 2 on the clock. We've seen a lot in the lower divisions. The more aggressive team has been able to win a lot of these fights. I mean, NSR is a thing, but I feel once you get higher up and you get people who can really focus you down, you could lose 2 mechs trying to push in. So we'll see if the NSR runs into finally a stable firing line that can stop it as we try and develop this a little bit. Hopefully these players get going. Everybody should be prepared for this match.
Maybe. We'll see. I like to think that the teams that set the matches for Sunday is because they're looking for a chance to review the games that happen on Friday and Saturday to see what the majority of people take to help with planning. I mean, it could be kind of smart. I see Tios is back in the field. That's a player that I haven't seen in game in a long, long time. Though I do think he dropped last week once too, for not.
Meek asks to brighten my screen. I'd recommend you do that on your end. I've not got anything set up too funky on my end to where it's going to be really dark. Show you my gamma, I guess. It's all 0.5. So if it's too dark, it's probably on your end, Bronco.
So it looks like Team 1's going to be stacking Charlie with 1 and Bravo. That spot is dangerously close to Epsilon. If you slightly miss, when you press W, if you're not facing the right way, you're going to accidentally run through Epsilon. So that could be a little risky, but it looks like they're with the Charlie stack and 1 in Bravo. I think they are definitely going to be doing trying to stay out of the water as much as possible.
JGX has 25 tons here on Nod, and I really feel like that's going to matter. Just the overall amount of health they've got as an advantage. I'd be willing to bet Nod is going with a Vulcan for their medium, but we're going to have to see. Looks like both teams are locked. Let's launch it. As we pray to PGI that they do not crash my game yet again. I've had to crash every stream so far, and I'm very nervous.
25 tons on a drop that's under 200 tons to start with. That's an insane amount of tonnage you're giving up. We'll see if it works out in their favor. Maybe the speed is what they need.
All right. Let's see. What do we have over there on Nod side.
On Nod, oh, they brought a street cleaner, Irby. I gotta see what's on that. Wolfhound, Panther, Vindicator, and Flea, but I'm going to find out what's on this Irby.
Alright, we got 5 MPLs on the Firestarter. We've got LBX 10s on the Vapor Eagle, along with a PPC. And this Panther is SRM4 and 4 MPLs, but they're so far being fairly cagey, nobody rushing into the cap. We do have a flanker out here with a Flea, probably stealth armor, and looking to get some good information.
The Irby is double snub-nosed PPCs. I've never seen that, but he is laying into Crass's Firestarter.
Well, now that they've seen the PPCs, they know they've got the short-range damage, and they are going to absolutely take this fight, especially the Panther 10K over there. Crass leading in the Firestarter, the biggest target, most readily available. They've got the Veagle hanging back. The Flea might be able to pounce on him, but Pasha is looking out for it at the moment. Panther 10K taking a lot of damage. What do you got, Level?
Nod is having trouble intercepting this brawl push from JGX. They tried to get a cap, send the fleet to the cap in the background, but it did not work. The Wolfhound 2 on Nod's side is really beat up already, and Naveed is
Pasha.
He kills Naveed. War crimes.
That had to have been from the
That's
strikey
going to
leg.
cost him. Yeah. Stimrog and his Vindicator is duking it out with this Katana Cat. I don't know which one's going to win, but the K9 is diving on him too, on the Vindicator also. Konglord in his Panther 10K is trying to support, but he is backing off, and Stimrog might just go down here.
This is the part of the fight where we really start to see those extra 25 tons matter. The Flea not being able to take any real damage, so they're cycling their health, but they're running out of it on Nod's side. They've got the Panther pinned. It's likely to end up in a 3-on-3 here in a second.
And just as you said it happens. The Katana Cat for Jaguar Guards is now down.
Ooh, that self-destruction, the overheat, killing the Panther. The Streak Leader still has both of his PPCs, I believe, so he's still a pretty big threat to this K9 as the Pasha and the Veagle collapses in on the Panther. He's got a lot of short-range firepower. If this K9 can keep the fleet off him, Pasha is going to be able to deal a ton of damage just because of the amount of health he's got. He's got to take a lot, but...
And Konglord goes down in the Panther. It is now 2v2. Can Pasha and this K9 save this drop? They've had 2 teammates die from war crimes or self-destruction.
Looks like they're splitting up here. We're going to... Oh, never mind. Pasha doubles back and gets the street.
Dario and the K9 just yeets away that street. Now it's just the Flea. The Flea tried to take an early cap earlier, but JGX, one of their mechs, turned around and lasered him to scare him off the cap. Maybe he should have went back and tried to take it a second time, because he has the speed to outrun these two, but now it's...
I don't know. I really feel like Polycat and this Flea has hurt them more than he's helped. He wasn't able to take any damage. Oh. Yeah, he can't approach the Veagle. And he's kind of pinned behind the rock. He's one shot from death, I'm willing to assume, just because of the overall health pool he's got.
He probably needs to ignore the Vapor Eagle and go after the K9 if he knows the K9 is as injured as gets to go for that point.
Well, he's open CT, so Pasha is one shot from killing him, as I say it.
JGX, even with the war cries and the self-destruction, still was able to, in the end, pull that off. GG's for both sides. That was a hell of a fight.
So, as it turned out, Nod being 25 tons under really hurt them, but we can go to the stats page and take a look at that glorious war crime kill Pasha got. Just really unlucky with that already hitting probably the back of the Wolfhound. Let's take a look at our stats. Tyros 32 team damage, Pasha with 125. That is a proper war crime there. So, fully killing out the Naveed and the Wolfhound 2R. The K9 doing solid work at 345. I mean, he stayed alive for the full match, but Pasha and the Veagle 523. A medium that doesn't die first is a medium that can do a ton of damage, and he proved that there. So really got to pick your focus fire targets. And Nod shared the armor that they had really well, so you can see the damage numbers. Nobody really fell super quickly, but I mean, a Wolfhound 2, 160 damage, Kong Lord, and the Panther with the other set of PPCs to accompany the Street Sweeper with 168. I just I don't feel like it was the right set of mechs and the right DPS to heat that they really brought. I mean, the PPCs were a good call, but they didn't lag anybody on the way in. You saw Kraz dive in there with the fire starter, and he made it all the way through. He lost about 10%. Really able to close that distance without suffering too much punishment from all those PPCs. Well, we can go take a look at the map strats and see what we got.
Yeah, I did a little doodling on it to get a rough estimate. So what we ended up seeing was Team One, uh, not they stacked Charlie with one in Bravo. The one in Bravo went wide, and then Charlie Lance just kind of like packed in. They spread out a little bit. They were a little in a concave here near Kappa. JGX just big dicked it all in one big old pile. They came right up here for a second, balled up, and then that's when they hard pushed right into Nod. Nod had that scout mech over here that kind of that was the flea that tried to take the cap. When JGX was mid push, they saw that one mech try to take cap. Just one mech turned around and just scratched him with his lasers to scare him off, and then he had to run all the way back around. And then that's when the fight really happened, and it happened in mainly this area, a little bit over here too. Other than probably a different mechs, I don't know how Nod could have really won that. They were down on tonnage, and they had a couple mechs that were closer to memes than anything, it seems. Very interesting choice with the Street Cleaner with the two snubs. That's a lot of heat, not a lot of DPS. But yeah,
I wonder if they committed another mech to go with the flea to go after Pasha and the Vapor Eagle. They could have taken out a significant chunk of that firepower early. They had a full 5v4 down here because Pasha couldn't really get over here quickly from his position that he took in this choke point. So either winning the 5v4 and counter pushing a little harder than they did. They were really good about sharing armor, but not so much about focusing fire a target, really diving them. So either one of those may have turned the tide, but still, props to JGX. So
yeah.
Our next map is Alpine Peaks, and Gamma is the cap point of choice. So we've seen a number of brawl decks out of Team 2, and we've seen some Lerms out of Team 2, either heading up across the straight point here or up and across up to the high point where you've got commanding Overwatch fire over much of this area, all the way more or less essentially bordered by mountains. So really hard to push anybody off of Hotel 11. From the Team 1 side, I mean, you really know what to expect with the caps. It's either the Alpha Cap playing the long range game from Fox 10 or the Bravo Cap taking the short range decks and usually meeting somebody at Hotel 9. We've seen a lot of ATM decks, a lot of LRNs on this map. Biggest surprise was a Rifleman ToC that did decent work in your match, I believe, level, but that didn't end up too well as you got NSR'd.
That Rifleman, the only reason it did that much damage is because they 42 played that super smart. Usually when we NSR a firing line, like, because they had a little bit of a line here with a few mechs. Yeah, it was like 3 mechs here, then they had like 2 mechs over here. What they ended up doing is once we engaged in pushing these mechs up here, they all literally just ran in different directions, right? And if you're getting brawl rush, that's literally the smartest thing you can do, is because we can only push together as one against one in one direction. If you move all your long range mechs in 5 different directions with all 5 mechs, uh, you know, we can probably push one, kill one, then push another one, kill another one, but eventually all the other mechs getting free shots that whole time takes its toll, and that's what happened with that rifleman. We ended up pushing that rifleman all the way from E10 to F12, chasing after him, and he just got unlimited damage in this open ground. It was it was a bad. I pushed from a bad direction. It should have went from another direction, but still, yeah, like you were saying, long range strats will be played up here, brawl strats will be played down here, and lerm strats will be played over here.
Which side do you feel like has the initiative? Do you think?
I think depending on the strat, each side has a potential for initiative. Team 1 has better chance of doing long range. Team 2 has better chance of doing more mid range and stuff. But both teams are ready now. You ready to go for this?
Let's get to it. 255 to 265 is the tonnage. JGX being another 10 tons up on Nod, but it helped them last match. But I don't think the difference is quite nearly as big for this one. We'll have to see.
Yeah. When I had my NSR deck with both American mechs going 81 kph, 42 had long range trading mechs that all went faster than that, like a Phoenix Hawk in the 90s and a rifle. Well, the rifleman didn't go that fast, but so being undertonned isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're planning on like kiting the enemy. But if you're planning on pushing the enemy, that tonnage is absolutely going to matter.
We have seen a lot of fights break down into this small bowl area here, but we're going to find out real quick what each team is planning as we get a look at their mechs. What do we have over on the Jaguar sides?
We got a linebacker RL. Is that HSN? I'm not so certain. Wolverine 7K, Phoenix Hawk 2, and a Dervish 6. I think that's a Hellspawn. That is a Hellspawn.
Well, I've got a lot of MPLs over here on Nod's side. The Nova Prime is the biggest surprise, but I guess they want that AMS support. Really expecting a lot of ATMs, I'm willing to bet. But both teams going with a linebacker as their heavy, so they are ready to have a close range fight. Interesting, Lerm God being the linebacker. Kind of funny.
Yeah, JGX brought all the medium pulse lasers. Even the Wolverine 7K is 3 medium pulse lasers and 3 SR.
It's interesting. They've taken a short range deck, but they're setting up with the long range positions. I'm guessing they're trying to get decent strikes. Or maybe something happened at Scrim that we don't know about. But they're not going across to the normal hill at Hotel 6. Where you see...
Yeah. It looks like they are about to dive on... or trying to dive on these guys near this cap. You got this Phoenix Hawk and Naveed going wide, and then you got the Dervish and the Wolverine just charging at that Phoenix Hawk. I think they're going to try to get an early kill.
Yeah, they're chasing Polycat, and she really needs to get out of there.
Yeah, JGX now has a firing line. There's 2 up top, and they're about... Yeah, ToC and that Phoenix Hawk are both in a kill box right now. If they don't get out of there soon, they're both dead meat.
We've got PPCs and ER large fire from the top, but as they close in on this mountainside, the pitch angles are going to really...
There goes Polycat.
She was so close.
And ToC has been caught off guard. He is being jumped by 5 guys. He is dead here in a few seconds.
Yeah, they really need to spot this push faster than they did. It's already over.
Yeah. Stimrog's running, which is probably all he can do, is go for the cap game. Bowser up here in the Vapor Eagle 1. It looks like Konglord in the Nova Prime. It's the first time I've seen a Nova on this map. Is coming up to join Bowser. JGX just climbed that mountainside. They didn't even go around. They just jump jetted up the whole side. That's insane. But it looks like Bowser and Konglord are about to get pinched here in a second. Let's see if they can at least nail a kill on this Huntsman before the other mechs get up, because the other ones are struggling a little bit to get up there.
Yeah, we got PPCs on this Vapor Eagle, so as long as he can keep falling back and trying to buy time, they may get a kill, but doesn't look like it. And the rifleman's got the not the rifleman, the Nova. So used to seeing riflemen's up in this position. The Nova's got too many targets and not enough heat to fire at all of them. Not a lot of these mechs are beat up. I mean, 75% on the linebacker.
Yeah, JGX is going to get a clean sweep because that Vulcan isn't even MPLs. That Vulcan way up in the mountain Stimrog, he is ER large lasers. All he's doing is preventing the cap, which is all he can do right now. They have to actually find a way to climb up that mountain and push him off because he's in a spot where he can deny the cap. And this is exactly what he's doing because he's been shooting at this Wolverine for a couple minutes now.
Well, they've got enough strikes. I'm sure they can force him off this cap, or at least off a different mountain up here. Is there any merit to going to Epsilon Kappa and trying to cap this early, knowing that you're going to kill him? Or do you think it's better to go for the kill and then try and figure out the caps?
If they have a 100 points or higher cap lead, yes, because the way the rules are written, if your opponent has a 100-point cap lead, so you need to get points on the field, and you're still expecting to kill all 5 of the enemy mechs, you absolutely can take a second cap. Is because the only penalty if you take one of the wrong caps first is that you have to kill all 5 of the enemy mechs. But if you need to buy time so you don't lose on the points, then yeah, it's an absolute valid tactic.
Stimrog is rapidly running out of real estate. He's got mechs all sides of him. He may just try and pick one fight and try and win it, and get at least 1 point on the board for Nod. But I don't see that happening, not with how fresh all these guys are.
Yeah, I went to check the linebacker to see if he had a chance to pick off the linebacker. I don't even think he has a chance to pick off the linebacker.
He doesn't. And I think he knows it at this point, doing rather artful triumph as he blows his legs off.
I'm not gonna lie, watching these mechs slide down this mountainside is amusing.
Extreme skiing sports.
Yeah. There goes Stimrog. He's about dead.
And
there he goes.
Okay.
GG's.
If you were Nod, knowing what was coming, how would you have stopped it? Because they weren't fully set up with their long range up top, and the bottom side got pushed. They really didn't see it coming until they were crossing the golf tent area.
Yeah, so the only thing they could have really done to counter is either they all went for Gamma, kind of like what JGX did, or they used faster Overwatch mechs, because that was one issue. They only had 2 mechs near the cap. The rest of their mechs were still climbing that hill, trying to get up it. So when JGX pushed them, only the mechs down low could actually fire at the 5 mechs diving on them. The mechs up top just could not get shots in. And the damage numbers show it. Bowser, Polycat, both double digits. Kong Lord in the Nova did the most damage with almost 350.
Well, he had side shots while they were all running down Bowser in the Veagle, so everyone kind of walked by him, ignored him at close range, but the AMS didn't help, and really the more aggressive deck has consistently won on Alpine Peaks, which I would not have predicted going into this. I really feel like I feel like there's a Lerm deck in there somewhere that works, but nobody found it. At least not for this week.
I found it. We just didn't take it. We found one that finally worked. A good balance between Lerms and not Lerms, right? And we were going to take it, but I don't know. I didn't want to get a reputation. That and I made a bad call and decided to just try to do just to try to NSR 42 instead of taking an Overwatch with Lerms. But with the long range mechs they took, the Lerms probably would have been a deciding factor.
Well, we can see the health pool on JGX. They took quite a bit of damage across that entire match. I mean, only one mech really properly healthy, but the focus fire wasn't there. If you got a leg on maybe one of the Wolverines or the Dervish trying to cross the gap, it may have worked out better. You could have stayed and fought 4v3 with some Overwatch support, but I don't know. The lack of early damage from the long range mechs, combined with the fact that the push was right there and they only had to cross 2 grid squares instead of 4.
Yeah.
Well, we can go take a look at it on the map strat. Yeah, when they pushed off of F10, I feel like if you set up a little farther back, maybe because Polycat was up here, and you had the linebacker over here, both of which tried to flee back up the hill. Polycat almost made it, but almost doesn't count, and the linebacker doesn't have jump jets. Maybe if they had held back here and not tried to get Gamma so early, because you can deny Gamma from Hotel 12. Like, you got the mechs to do it. And force them to push another, 300 meters, it might have made a difference. Hard to say. I mean, once you get on the shadow of this hill, it's really hard for a lot of the Veagle and the Vulcan to provide proper fire support, but it would have been something at least.
Yeah. I believe the Vulcan was down there to start with on Gamma. He was just absolutely able to jump jet up that hill in time when the other two couldn't. But yeah, JGX, that was actually a really strong a push they did with the two mechs that ran around here, and then the other three just running down the center, because they gave Nod no chance to prepare, because like we saw, their long range mechs, were not in position to receive a push. Now I do know that H11, H12 is supposed to be a really strong power position, but it's not a power position if it can't, like, if your mechs cannot damage mechs, leg mechs, or kill something before the enemy is on top of it, then I think it's a no-go. They should have either did a strat where they all held up top, right? And only that ER large laser Vulcan go for Gamma and then get back up. But the rest of the mechs should not have been down low with the kind of strat they were doing. It just would not. I don't think it would have worked out from the start. But then again, those guys that came up with that strat are much more professional
Experienced
than
than
I
both of
am.
us.
Yeah, yeah. So they might just roll their eyes at me saying that it looks like that's an impossible strat. But that's my educated opinion.
Well, we've seen a lot of AC2s and AC5s and RUBELLITEs going so far. What are you expecting here? Do you think they'll bring anything different? A lot of PPCs have been brought early, but RUBELLITE's hot enough. I'm not sure that's the best option.
I've seen people do things with like PVC summoners in like Fox 6 or Delta 6 uh, behind all this really high cover. But yes, almost every match has had like an AC2 Annihilator, maybe even an AC2 Rifleman, either here in Echo 4 or here in Echo 7 on the Overwatch areas. And then the rest of their mechs usually try to get into an alternate position so you can have a bit of an L-shaped firing line. Um, with that said, I've seen brawl rushes try to happen. It doesn't seem like Team One actually has a way to do a brawl rush because there's no easy pathing up into Echo 7 to take out the long range mechs, but at least Team Two does. Team Two can go just run down here. I think it's to you can have a lot of cover and can get all your mechs into Fox 4 without being shot from anything over here or over here. And if anything is stuck over here, you can just run up this ramp and just right into them pretty actually easily. Unfortunately, we didn't get Team 2 side for this map, or that's
I,
what my team would have done.
I will
Uh,
say, trying to stay out of the low ground on the 6th line is probably the most important piece on this map. If you were low ground in Delta 6 or Fox 6, you are likely already lost. It's just a matter of killing you at that point. Team's locked.
uh, Still waiting on Nod to finish locking. All their mechs are ready but one. It looks like they'll be locked soon, but it looks like Team 2 is pretty much completely ready. They're just waiting on Team 1 to finish locking, and then they'll probably all ready up and then lock right after.
Still swapping some players around, so we'll get to that in a little bit. This is the 4 heavies 1 assault, so I think most of the successful teams have brought annihilators for the assaults. We've seen Thanatoses, we've seen Riflemen's summoners, as you said earlier. One of the things we've not seen any of are roughnecks, or at least competitively viable roughnecks. We wanted to see if there's any way to make a close range build on this work. We've seen a lot of teams push up across these gratings, but with Team 2 having the low ground at Echo 6 here, they really could hide something shorter ranged up close, maybe a Roughneck or an Orion 2C down low, and wait for an Echo 5 push across. Really like to see something like that work, especially if you're confident in your Overwatch fire.
Yeah, I could see something more along the lines of like either a laser or ballistic rifle or roughneck being able to do that. I'm not so certain about SRM's ability to overwatch Theta. We have seen a lot of teams use a linebacker to get that early cap on Theta, and the linebackers have been all over the place. We've seen SRM linebackers, laser linebackers, and PPC linebackers, but both teams seem to really want to get Theta and then just set up Overwatch and dare the enemy to come try to take it. But yeah, if you can get Theta early and then get like a laser, a high alpha laser vomit roughneck with all the armor down here to overwatch Theta, and then this front side of Echo 5, Echo 6, that could also be a strong play. Team 2 is finally locked. We are ready to finally roll.
Well, let's see if they prove me wrong, and let's go. 380 tonnage versus 365, so...
Yeah, Nod is going light again. They seem to like their more mobile. They like to have their options, it seems, for positioning and maneuverability.
Well, they are the Team 1 side, so they may be trying to take something to counter any sort of early Theta play by Team 2. Well, we're going to have to see. Lots of jagged cliffs on this map, and you can really see the low ground advantage that Team 2 has if they can cap early and get back. We've got lots of cover down low either side, as well as some good supporting fire from up here. But what do we have over there on Nod's side for this match?
Nod, we got a Summoner, Orion ToC Hero, Linebacker RL, a Black Knight, and a Gargoyle. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you what's on this Orion. We got LB20 and 2 ERPPCs. That is a weird-ass build. The Gargoyles, all SRMs. I think they're playing a Brawl strat. Because I don't see much Overwatch on their side.
Well, JGX has PPCs and SRMs and ER larges. They brought more or less every solid range option they could. The sole exception is the Summoner with UAX instead of your more traditional PPCs. But we're going to see how this all works out. But if Nod has brought a deck like that and they're committed to pushing, I'm not strictly sure that JGX has the firepower to repel it. Certainly not the PPCs and the ER larges. Those are going to be heat capped fairly quickly.
Absolutely. If Nod can do a very well coordinated push and push into them hard, you're absolutely right. JGX do not have the sustainability or the firepower to hold it off, because Nod did bring the Summoner is UAC 10s. They do not have the longest range mech is that Orion here with the LB20 2 ER PPCs. Everything else is MPL range. We're going to see how this plays out.
Pasha did get eyes on a lot of them there. The linebacker is still capping Theta, so they do know he is still there, but they're flanking around right on the low ground. Oh man, this could be very dangerous as they push underneath and close up to
they're about to run right into Crass.
Oh no, Crass, you got to get out of there, man. I don't know if he is going to get out of there.
I don't think he will. They are diving on him hard. He is halved. And it looks like the Orion ToC was supposed to go with this brawl push, but he is way in the back because he took too long to cross the. But they are not letting go of Crass. They are going to take him if it kills them.
Now they're actually switching their fire, and Pasha's getting decent shots, but he's about to get flanked by Kong Lord here. As the push comes in low, the Annihilator drops down to support, but that's probably going to kill him. This is a bad position for this Annihilator. There's nowhere to run.
They need to push this Andy. He's out and alone, and if they push him, that Annihilator is going to be dead, and then there goes most of JGX's firepower. And it looks like they just realized that. They are charging his ass.
Yeah, they're cycling forward health. Polycat's the lowest, but the Gargoyle's peeling off right, then Black Knight's coming in to take over.
And they've
got a 5-3 mech advantage here as the Grasshopper has already been legged and he's limping away from this strike. It's not going to matter. Kong Lord may die here, but I think that's going to be the only kill they get.
All he has to do is keep the Pasha and that Grasshopper entertained while these guys go dive on this night gear, and then they can sweep up the rest of this.
Yeah, they're really.
I think this is intentional.
They're not consolidating their forces nearly well enough. The Summoner is still fighting the other Summoner, or the Grasshopper's trying to back up to get more range for those ERs to work. And Lermgod has been left alone. He is now standing here with 2 Gauss rifles and 5 mechs to shoot at.
Yeah, he was running away. He decided to stand his ground because he's turning around and fight. He's taking shots on the linebacker, but the linebacker looks like he's about to run off the edge to ignore him.
No one at Nod seems to wants to die, but they're all. Somebody's got to commit to this push as they follow through. They finally get Stimrog and the Garg.
But, Gargoyle finally goes down. The Orion and the Summoner are now double teaming Pasha and his Summoner. He's about to go down here in a second. He's down to 33%. He's only a couple shots away from death. And there he goes. Polycat at 39% is still trading against this Grasshopper. Is he going for the Grasshopper's legs? This is my question.
The Grasshopper's overheated his legs, but it looks like they're going for torsos on this one. He drops down trying to get one last kill. Does find it on Polycat. You got 3 beat up mechs, but it's not like the Grasshopper's healthy either as he starts to run out of options and out of weapons. I think the Onion blew off his leg with that fall. And I believe it's all over.
He did! Absolutely.
I don't actually see the cap points on this one. I'm not sure where they went.
I'm having the same issue. Only the mech CTs are missing from all the mechs, from my view.
Well, good job, PGI.
Yeah, it says Zeos is missing all his mechs except for one side torso and arm and a leg.
So,
that was good. Nod, well done. That was a hell of a... Definitely showed me that like you could still push from Team 1 side as long as you have the skill for it. That was coordinated. That was badass, and they just steamrolled through JGX's guys.
They really cycled their health well. If you just follow the trail of bodies, they got a linebacker, they got an annihilator, they heat capped the Grasshopper that was up here. They pushed the Nightjar who fell back. But the first one to fall was the Gargoyle, all the way over here after they had pushed 1,000 meters under fire. I mean, really well done cycling the health, keeping all those torsos and legs up, and making sure the entire murder ball kept going. I don't want to say it was NSR, because that required a lot of skill, especially if you look at how beat up those mechs got.
It was still NSR. It was just highly skilled NSR. It was good. It was the good kind of NSR, the kind that throws your enemy off of whatever their strat was doing, which might have been exactly what Nod was doing. They might have expected JGX to have a very strong firing line, and their whole goal seemed to have been disrupt the firing line so you don't give them a chance to actually coordinate and focus down your mechs, which seemed to work for them.
I think the biggest thing was when that Annihilator fell down. That was probably a game-losing move by JGX. If he had stayed on the high ground, they don't have a great way to push him. They've got to come up this backside hill, which, if they do that and the Nightjar continues to fall back, they can make a other firing line across and support him from over here. They certainly have the range to do that. And more pushing under fire, I don't think, especially with the health pools they had, they wouldn't have lived.
Yeah, I agree. The Annihilator falling down was a really bad move because he basically put a big target on himself and said, own me.
Well, he needs to learn from Obi-Wan. He needs more high ground.
Yes. God, the damage. The damage JGX still did.
It's definitely not the most efficient shooting we've seen out of RUBELLITE. You saw Kraz go down pretty early in that linebacker. He got pinched. But everybody else did 400 plus damage. I mean, Annihilator's 6 points off, and Pasha and the Summoner, who soloed the other Summoner for more or less that entire game. He had the summoner down there, and then he took the fight with the Orion and just about killed him. I don't know. I really feel like. Do you think if they'd gone for legs instead of side torsos, do you think JGX could have pulled that off?
Um, as much as I hate encouraging legging, absolutely. In most game modes, like let's say like if an enemy team is charging you in faction play with 12 brawly mech, the best thing to do instead of trying to kill them is leg a mech and move on to the next one, because especially if they're at like 500-600 meters before they can even shoot at you. If you leg that mech, he is out of the fight in that push, and it's breaking up the push is what you need to do. Break up the murder ball, and there's no easier way to break up the murder ball than leg a couple mechs. Because their murder ball was 4 mechs. If you leg 2 mechs, that's only 2 mechs that can push you now, and then it becomes a more manageable push to deal with.
Well, as we go into the assault portion of our match, we do have JGX with a 9-point lead over Nod. So Nod showed a lot of promise there. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to push nearly as well with these assaults, but it is still a close enough match. If they win these next 2 drops, it's still a convincing victory. They could get 30-something points out of it, but trying to keep JGX from walking away with the lead on this one. Nod's still really in a close fight for second place in this division, so any kills they can get on these next 2 drops are really going to matter. As you can see, they're only 4 points behind RJF, and I mean, how long has RJF been a part of the MWO comp scene?
I'm actually not sure. They've been around since I started playing. I know that, but so is JGX and like EMP and stuff.
Well, let's go over to the map strats. I mean, I don't particularly want to mess up our pretty map drawing the entire line that Team 1 chased Team 2 through, but let's go. Do you mind if we go ahead and go over to Terra Therma and try and go through all the many hidden spots you can hide in LRM Assault?
I lost to a freaking LRM Assault. Well, I think it was technically 8, but 42 last week, or just yesterday, they put a LERP Supernova up here in Fox 6. I'm not even sure how they got it there so fast, but they had it up there before we even had Overwatch over Theta. That was impressive. I got to give them that. That thing must have been speed tweaked to high heaven. But yeah, there's a good. You can hide mechs up here. You can do shenanigans all the way down to H7. I've even seen people in scrims get a light mech down here in this 8, go up this H8 area, and then with long range, and then just start poking at people from a place where they can't get reached back from. I'm not sure how effective that was, but that was annoying the couple times I had to deal with. But it wasn't like detrimental. Team 2, I mean, there actually isn't too much shenanigans they can really do. They can hold up here in H7 on the high ground, or they can get up near Theta in this little low ground area. Other than that, I mean, other than this H8 area, there's not really any shenanigans that they can do unless they want to go all the way around the map. But with assaults, it's impossible. Team 1 though, they get a lot of shenanigans they can do because of this is Theta cap. And they have a lot of positions they can attack from. Team 2 only has really one position, G7, is where they're coming from. There's really no other place they can come from. But Team 1, you can come from Fox 7, Fox 8, Golf 8. It's obviously the stronger side when it comes to options. But Team 2 has a stronger long range side. So like if you went with range mechs, you can set them up here in G7 better.
We have talked to a lot of people in the interviews, and they said they've really wanted to win the 1v1s in order to secure this map Team 1 side. So it's probably the least balanced of any of the maps we've seen from this week. Certainly shouldn't be the assault map, I don't think. Map sides tend to matter a lot less on the lighter mechs. But it is what it is. I mean, I really want to see a Corsair at a Team 2, because I think you're almost expecting Lerms, and that's going to be the biggest. I mean,
yeah, especially after watching yesterday's games. Yeah, if my game was today, I would have switched my strat up to expect alarms from Fox 6 because we've had I think three teams now have done it, and I think JGX is going to do it too because they have Team 1, and yeah, I think that's why they wanted Team 2 to start so they can get a learn mech up here. So chat, go ahead, start placing your bets. Is JGX going to put a supernova or another Lerm assault up here, like an awesome 8R? I don't think an awesome 8R get up there. A Lerm mech with jump jets, maybe a Highlander or a supernova. Place your bets now.
Well, I think Team 2 really needs to vary their strategy with the mech choices they bring. So we've seen a lot of Annihilators, we've seen a lot of long range, usually Ultra 5s and LBXs to counter the heat. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be some mech you could bring that's going to really revolutionize this map. Maybe some PPCs out of a Supernova or a Zeus or something. But the standard decks haven't worked. You've got to come up with something new. I don't know if that's even possible, especially considering the advantage that F6 Bull gives you. But maybe trying to block Theta with like a Narc Blood Asp and using Lerms, but
I mean, yeah, it's possible. We struggled figuring out something that wasn't a traditional deck. Like we tried a couple AC2 long range, like an Annihilator and Ultraviolet here in Overwatch, and then have a couple Brawl Mechs like a Blood Ass and a Mad Cat up. That fell apart to a hard brawl push through F7. So we switched up to 4 trade mechs. That seemed to work out a bit better. But when we did that, we did not plan for a learn mech in the Fox 6, and that learn mech just obliterated us. If we didn't have to deal with that, that could have been ours. But like you said, the traditional decks. At least in the 6 to 8, I think it was 8 matches we played on this week in scrims before our official match. We tried a bunch of traditional decks and it was hit or miss, like you were saying. So yeah, teams are going to have to get cheesy if they definitely want to win this one. I don't know how Team 2 can get cheesy, but like we've just discussed, there is ample opportunities for Team 1 to get super cheesy on this drop.
Are the teams locked?
Team 1 is locked. Team 2 is almost locked.
Okay. Let's take a look at the tonnages at least.
You're at Team 2's already higher tonnage. You're at 410 to 425. So just this time, Nod has the more tonnage.
Twitch chat brings up an interesting point. Would the Corsair with 4 AMS hold up to like an LRM 95 Fafnir? I think it's just too many missiles.
For something like a Fafnir, yes, it's too many missiles because they all fire. But against an ATM mech, like an ATM Supernova or even a Lerm Supernova, yes, 4 AMS might actually be enough to block most of those missiles, because if he alphas them all, they're still coming in stringed over like a second. And if he doesn't alpha them all, then they're coming in stringed over a few seconds. If he fires like 2 launchers and then 2 other ones after to avoid ghost heat. So yeah, I mean, there's an absolute chance, but that's a bit of a risk because there's a lot better mechs for fighting than the Corsair. The Corsair's niche has always been the fact that it has a 4 AMS. So you're kind of giving up one mech on the chance that the enemy is going to have a learn mech, and if the enemy doesn't have a learn mech, then you're kind of in trouble.
I don't know. I really feel like this is going to come down to the light fight, but we're about to find out because Bowser says they're locked. Let's launch.
Yep. Yeah, 410 to 425 this time. Nod went with the higher tonnage. That works out in their favor.
More things for the missiles to chew through as they blow open your CT. All right. You've got to go tell us if Team 1's got missiles.
Oh, I absolutely will. I'm going to holler it from the mountaintops.
Well, you've got plenty of mountaintops on this map to do it in. I will say, I've always liked the look of Terra Therma. This and Solaris City are my 2 favorite maps.
Yeah, Terra is definitely one of the more pretty maps. It can be a little bit confusing because in certain spots of the map, everything gets a little samey looking, so you can kind of get lost if you don't know the full layout of the map. All right, I'm looking at Jaguar guards. They have a Wolfhound 2, Annihilator 2A, Mad Cat 2B, Bloodass A, and a Corsair 7A. It looks like they're expecting Team 2 to learn. It doesn't look like they brought any learn mechs themselves.
Well, don't worry, Team 2 is willing to oblige. They brought the Marauder. It's a Marauder, but it's the 100-tonner version with LRMs. They've got a Mean Baby with LRMs and a Mauler with LRMs. They have 3 LRM mechs.
This has gone completely opposite of what I expected. All right, so JGX has the AMS mech, so they're gonna have to push hard with that Corsair. Better off, like, not directly in the front, but right behind the front, because if they lurm and focus him, they'll lose that AMS to take out the rest of the missiles. So we'll see how this push goes, but yeah, absolutely, JGX is going to have to pull a Nod like Nod did last game and go hard push and do a professional NSR.
Does that Bloodass A have ECM? Because that's going to be really big, and whether or not they have to defend on Polycat with the Narc, or if they're going to have free locks.
It does not look like he has ECM, but he does have 5 UAC 5.
Oh no.
So that's more mid-range trade. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to work out for them. They have most of their deck is mid-range trade, but they are going to have to brawl if they want to deal with these learns. And here, I can just see tags going across the map.
Here it comes. And they've got a Dire Whale to try and harass any pushes that get started, so taking out Stimrog first is going to be a big priority as far as mitigating damage as they go in. But 3 mechs covered in lerms. Let the clagging commence.
F's in chat, people.
I really hope that Corsair has enough AMS ammo.
Oh god, yes. I just hope they can get it into the fight enough, because I think they're learning someone else. I think it was the light mech they were trying to learn.
They're staying out of the Narc range of Polycat, so there's not been too many solid locks for them to play off of. At least just yet.
Oh no, Pasha's going around for a flank, and I don't think Polycat knows.
Well, if Pasha shows up on the bridge, he's got no cover at all.
Oh, Stimrog's Direwolf is just eating all the fire because he's the only one standing out in the open to try to trade, since the rest of his team is learn mechs. He's already halved, and he is almost dead.
I really feel like he should have played a lot more defensive. I mean, time is on your side when you're playing Lerm decks. I know they've got the cap, but the cap doesn't matter. The clag matters.
Yeah.
It looks like the Corsair got narked there, but he's got a decent rock and he's got all the AMS, so I don't feel like he's going to take too much damage from that narc. It's going to be a big thing if they get it on the Annihilator, who can't move and doesn't have any cover from where he's standing. This match is really coming down to Polycat.
Yeah, if Polycat can narc the Annie, which I think he's trying to do, he's probably going to get himself yeeted. Corsair's AMS doing its job. Polycat's about to go down. They lose that narker. That's going to spell some serious trouble for Nod. And there it goes.
And now they're going to pay. They will pay for their many sins as
Corsair is weak CT. If they can CT that Corsair, because his armor is red, but his structure is yellow. If they can CT the Corsair, they can at least get the AMS off the field and make this more even. As of right now, JGX has a solid lead in damage and kills.
They're not looking to push into these LRMs at all. I mean, the only defense they've got is a Dire Whale that they already blew off a side torso from. I really feel like they should be getting a little more aggressive here, but I guess they don't know it's 3 LRM boats, or maybe they're just happy to take cover and they've got the cap, so they're expecting them push.
Well, JGX is doing a good job with their firing. Anytime one of the Lermechs poke out to try to get a lock with tag, they're getting hit by like 3 assaults, so it's actually working in their favor, and I'm a bit dumbfounded. I would have expected, with the amount of Lerms that Nod had, that they would have just rained hell on them. maybe it was bad positioning on their part, but it does look like Nod is going to try to go around the side. We got Konglord and Bowser falling right behind him, heading over to Fox 8 to get on the other side of Pasha. If Pasha doesn't see this, they might at least be able to get that kill, but that'll alert the rest of the team, and who knows?
Yeah, the Marauder is
TS
the only
now
thing
alone.
holding steady, but they're taking their 2 healthy mechs, and I guess trying to force them through this choke point, and maybe they'll get Pasha, but they're gonna run out of time here. They don't have a light mech anymore, and it's gonna take another 30 seconds for this flank to develop. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do the caps as soon as this is over. I believe JGX has already won this fight.
I think so too. Um, I mean, if they finish them off in the next 60 seconds and they all go for different cap points, there might still be a chance. But other than that, yeah, they're probably just going for kills. But here the missiles are raining on Pasha, and the AMS Corsair is pushing forward, and you can just see hundreds of missiles just being deleted out of the sky. But there's hundreds more just nailing Pasha.
F's in chat, guys. F's in chat.
They're just winning 80 missile alpha from that mean baby, and the Corsair just ate half of them. Corsair's still weak, and now they're counter pushing into these 2 learn boats. These 2 learn boats caught off on their own. Bowser now just goes down. Konglord is now a fish in the barrel. Stimrog goes down from the other side of the map. This Wolfhound is now in the mean baby's back. Can this mean baby at least kill the Corsair before he dies? They need the points. They need the points. But I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
No, they need to suffer. They don't need anything other than destruction. 5-0. Clag has been punished.
They were able to drop the that mean baby and the Marauder at the same time on opposite sides of the map. GG's both teams. JGX, I would have expected you to have to push into him, but it turns out holding your ground was absolutely the smart play, because I don't think that they were ready for you guys to hold your ground the way you did.
Turns out there's a reason they're they.
JGX OP, please nerf.
I mean, you can see the massive amount of damage. Like, Nod did more damage than JGX did overall. Maybe not, but it was close. But
it's very close. Yeah. Yeah, I would still say that JGX did slightly more damage.
Kraz is saying that he got 859 missiles with his Corsair's AMS. To say nothing of the Mad Cats and the can the Wolfhound 2 mount AMS? I thought I saw another person with AMS.
I don't know. I don't think the Wolfhound could run AMS, but
not on the standard.
I'm a bit of a potato.
He really didn't get too involved in this game. He got the Jenner out and was keeping him at bay, but the Wolfhound 94%. He got 309 damage, but considering how early the Jenner died, I feel like he could have gotten involved a little bit more. The Dire Whale from Stimrog, bit too aggressive considering the deck you were bringing. 358, losing that side torso so early on, really detrimental for the team. But I don't know. Mean Baby, I can't say that was the best choice. I know you've got a Marauder and a Mauler already, but I don't think tripling down on the LRMs was the right call. I think if you've got 2 against 1 and you're expecting the guy up high, using that Annihilator to support the Dire Wolf might have been the better play.
Probably.
That you live and learn. We'll see this develop more and more as we go on. We can go ahead and take a look at the map strat. It's so cute. You got all the death markers.
Yeah, I did for the Lord team because I figured it was fitting. So JGX, they had that one Mad Cat Charlie going Fox 8 line, and then the rest going G8 or Fox 7. And then what they did is they just held a firing line, a really solid firing line. And then as we saw, these guys came up and set up about right here in this area for maybe it was more here. Yeah, they set up more right here for their Lerm strat with the AC2 Dire Whale first here with Overwatch. He got slaughtered here. He went over here to get repositioned to fire. But, I mean, for the first half of the game, he was literally probably the only mech that was able to even fire back at JGX. JGX just kept a solid firing line. They took the narcs, had their mechs that got narked hide behind instead of panicking. When the narc mech went after their Corsair, they expected it and they just deleted that narc mech. They had two mechs try to come over here to the side to lurm and get these guys in a crossfire, but it could have worked if that dire whale was still fresh. And they didn't lose the narker yet. They probably they needed to do that push if they wanted it to work a lot sooner before they were down almost two whole mechs. Because at that point, the Marauder was left on his own to face down four mechs while these two pushed one. And as you saw, it just didn't work out for them. But it was still an interesting play.
Let's do a public thank you to JGX because
Yes.
they shut down the strat so effectively. Hopefully, no one will bring Lerms on this map next time. We can dream. Because a dream just died right here.
They'll bring Lerms. Everyone wants to try to get it into their decks at some point. But this Tourmaline, this last drop on Tourmaline is the one I'm most excited. I really hope both teams just big dick each other, and then there's just a nasty knife fight here in the center. If that happens, I'll die happy.
As heavy as you can bring, as many AC2s as you can bring. Full W keys. Let's go. Team 1 does have some other options if they really want to play it that way. They can slide out the back here. They've got decent cover, especially considering this hill up here for Team 2. It will take them a second to get up in a firing line, and they can fall back behind the rock if they really wanted to. But
yeah,
I'm fully expecting big death arrows. Straight up, straight up, straight up. Straight back, straight back, straight back. More AC2s.
That's I expect pretty much the same thing. I mean, there is a chance Team A will actually make a beeline to Echo 3, right? Because if they're playing defensively, that's what they'll try to do with their AC2 mechs. That way they have mechs on Overwatch over Epsilon. Same thing with Alpha, like you were showing with that arrow. If they don't want to brawl and they're trying to do a range strat, they will come up here and try to go up to C4 probably with their light on Epsilon. If they do go all the way back here and the enemy pushes them, they need to be expecting the enemy, because the enemy can reach here by the time these guys get all the way around about here, and then there could be a fight right here. I've seen that happen in scrims and in matches. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. I really hope this is just a dirty fight right here in this big open ground. Because like I said, both teams start with Overwatch on each other's spawns for the most part. Well, for Team 2, you have to get to this little hill right here, but this hill is less than like 200 meters from your spawn. And then you have Overwatch over D5 and Alpha spawn. Alpha spawn, there's a little hill right here that they have to reach. Once they reach that, it's about 200 meters from their spawn. They'll have Overwatch over any assault mechs over here. Anything shorter than an assault mech, you might not see, but assault mechs are all tall enough that you can see their heads and shoulders from this D5 spawn.
Well, this new meta that Cryos has with these one-cat maps has produced a lot of interesting results, and I will say, for my money, these have been the shortest and most entertaining, blowing the absolute shit out of each other matches on Tourmaline.
Absolutely. Yeah, this Epsilon, I like this better than this Kappa. I mean, Kappa was still interesting and fun, right? Because it wasn't the normal quick play, everyone NASCARs around Theta 24/7, you know? So I think this entire tournament was a very smart way to play. And because traditional metas do not work in this tournament, because it's only 5 guys, not 6 or 8 or any more than that, and being 1 cap instead of like 3 caps or something, concentrates the fight into parts of the map that people don't normally play, and I love that.
I'm gonna fill you with a nightmare, like a 10-second horror story.
Go for it.
What happens if Nod doesn't change the deck at all and brings all the Lerm mechs again?
That would be so funny. It'd be funny, Or it could be sad, because if he gets slaughtered, then it'd be sad. But if they bring that learn deck again and just assert their dominance on JGX and Echo 4, that would be hilarious. I would clip that, and then I would call this the match of the season. Because that would just be hilarious. I don't think it's going to happen, because just the way the tourmalines work and the everyone knows about the line of sight being a little bit janky and the cover being janky because the way the tourmalines register
Crystal
shots.
things.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much the alarms are going to work, especially when they start hitting invisible cover. On the right above where you think that there's nothing. But yeah, it'd be interesting. I don't think it'll work. I do think ATMs are strong on this map. We tested it with the ATM Assault and ATM medium. We in my game we just went with the ATM medium instead of using ATM Assault also. That way we were more consistent. But I did find ATMs to be super strong, especially if your team 2 with ATMs and Alpha runs this way, or they charge at you. You just sit up here with the ATMs and just annihilate them as they come in. Usually, it usually goes pretty good. Team 1 is almost locked. Finally! T2.
Alright, so this is more or less over. I believe JGX has it. Turns out teamwork is better than raw EMP skill. At least it turns out today. Interesting seeing 2 mechs in Bravo Lance from Team 1. Not really sure about that. I guess it's a Vulcan and a Wolfhound?
I would assume something like that, or something like what 42 did. 42 used a Commando and a Vulcan, but I believe they started those in Alpha Lance, and then they started 2 of their assaults in Bravo. They started a heavy and an assault in Bravo, and then they had the heavy assault. They had an assault. They had some. I can't remember what the hell they had in Alpha. They did something similar where they had a Vulcan and a Commando that went right down here and came right up into our side. By the time our push reached right here, it was just coincidental perfect timing, because by the time we were right up into the enemy, or almost up in the enemy, these 2 mechs had unlimited back shots, because we were in the fight and we couldn't turn around. If we turned around, we were dead anyway. So we were just trying to slug it out and hopefully win the assault fight.
Alright, well, level, I think they're both locked. Let's go ahead and launch this one. Final match of the day. Final match of the week. And let's see some utter destruction.
Is it the final match of the week? I guess it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Unless we're somehow very much faster than MWL Leagues 2. I know they've got a match going on at the same time.
Let's find out while we wait for this to load. They are also on Tourmaline, so I think their match will end last.
I have celebrations to bestow upon everyone. I did not crash in this stream. It's amazing.
And you just jinxed yourself, jerk.
Nope, I'm already in. I'm already in. I can't crash now.
Oh, you're already in. Awesome.
All right. I'm expecting some very fast shots from both these guys. Pasha's in a summoner. He's probably got PPCs. We've got a Kodiak 3 from Kong Lord. That's maybe a quad Gauss rifle build. Hard to say. Maybe Ultra 5s. But no shots fired. Team 1 is playing this fairly cagey. The Annihilator...
This had to be a mistake. There's no way they met for this Kodiak 3 on Nod side to spawn in Bravo Lance, because he is way off from the rest of his team. Bowser's Direwolf is already trading with the mechs in Echo 4. But yeah, it looks like this Phoenix Lock might be trying to go for that high ground. He is currently just peeking his corner.
This Direwolf is PPCs? Gauss rifles. Oof. Okay. Bowser is playing one of his Bowser mechs.
Oh wow, yeah, he is. 4 PPCs, 2 Gauss. That is a hot boy.
And Kong Lord's got 1 PPC and 4 AC-10s. Not Ultra 10s, AC-10s. So
he's avoiding that ghost heat. Well, you still get ghost heat, but it's like only 1 point of heat, so it's absolutely manageable.
Can really see JGX doesn't really know what to do. They've got the Annihilator more or less stuck
Vapor Eagle
where
and
it
Jinner are
started.
dueling out in the back, near the Team 2 spawn. Simrog and his Jinner just got a huge shot on Kras. Kras is down to 70% already. Jinner got out practically untouched. Kras and his Vapor Eagle is trying to regroup with his team, but he is just taking so many shots trying to get into cover.
He lost the torso and one of his PPCs, so that's going to be real big. It's going to take him out of this fight already. Meanwhile, Tyros is paying for it on the other side as he goes down to 62%. Let's see how many guns he's lost. He's lost nothing. He's still got his 2 Gauss rifles, 2 PPCs, but still. A lot of early damage, both heavy and a medium, more or less, out of this fight.
ToC takes a shot at that Wolfhound as it runs across the open and whiffs. That's not an easy shot to make at that kind of...
Kras is looking for the Jinner to come in, and here it comes. Let's see if the Corsair and the Annihilator double back and see if they can help him. Stembrog has decided he doesn't want that fight anymore and scampers off. As they cross the open ground here, this is the sort of fights we were expecting to see. Bowser taking quite a bit of punishment.
Kras, I'm surprised he's still alive, but I think he's just being ignored at this point. Stimrog is off in Zimbabwe. Not 100% certain what he's doing way the hell over there, but he definitely has Kras pinned where Kras is just staring in that direction. If something can jump jet and shoot him in the back, he'd probably die. This Corsair 7, the Annihilator 1P are a lot fresher than I would expect them for as long as they've been standing up here trading. This Bowser's Direwolf is starting to eat a lot of damage. The Kodiak 3 has more HP, but he is in worse shape than that Direwolf is.
It's been a very strange match. Polycat sitting over here with 6 MPLs, and I don't know what she's planning on doing with that, but they are not effective at any of the ranges they're trying to fight at the moment.
Pasha and his Summoner did headshot Kong Lord and his Kodiak 3, but it was not enough to insta-kill him. He still has some head armor left.
Simrog's going to get Karinsky. Boom. Snuck up on him. Turns out patience is key.
Yeah, you cannot ignore Stimrog in this Jinner. He is wildly good with it, and that thing is an instant SRM bomber. There's just so many missiles at face hug range. You're going to lose a side torso even in an assault mech with low back armor.
Well, JGX has the cap. They have the HP advantage, but don't have the mech advantage with Tyrus somehow still being alive at 35%. So.
I don't think it's going to matter too much. If you look, Nod right beside Epsilon, 3 of their mechs are pinned in this corner. And the mechs they're trading with are all much more healthier than them. These 3 are going to start dropping here shortly like flies, and I'm pretty sure GNX has this, or JGX has this. The question is, can they drop these 3 mechs before Stimrog can get in there and kill another assault mech? Coglord is in SRing straight out in the open and dies for it. Polycat is trying to take the cap. Oh, and hey, he took it.
She.
I was not aware of that. Alright, she took it. Bowser is still trying to get angles on this Corsair Wolfhound, but he's been losing all his trade from that location. He might want to think about another one. Stimrog has just been dancing with the enemy team for the last 3 minutes. It looks like the enemy team is going to try. Well, for a second they had him halfway surrounded. It looks like they gave up. ToC is still way out here now. Now he's the one in Zimbabwe because the fight moved. He's still trying to get his trades in, but he's pretty much out of the fight in 1 touch. Nod's. I mean, sorry, not Nod. JGX's Wolfhound, Dario, is repositioning. It looks like he might be trying to make a play on this Direwolf with Pasha and the Summoner at the same time. It looks like that's where they're re-angling. But yeah, Polycat and Bowser are still pinned. They've been pinned for half this match.
Well, Lermgod and the Annihilator here, whose name I can no longer pronounce, have tried. They've tried to make a record for the least amount of movement they've done. They're still 200 meters from their drop point, and they have no inclination of leaving. So it's going to be down to Pasha and this Wolfhound to snuff out Polycat and Bowser as they slowly get collapsed on. Stimrog is continuing to run around and be a nuisance. He's finally got the Annihilator to play with, though it doesn't look like he's enjoying that playtime nearly as much.
Yeah, Corsair was able to get into a position where he can get his guns up at him. I don't think he's going to be able to pop this Annie before he dies. Yep, there he goes.
It's all down to Polycat once again.
Yeah, Bowser died from that position. Like I was saying, they were pinned there beside Epsilon. They were stuck for that whole match. I think this match was over with a few minutes ago. Once those 3 injured mechs were stuck there. Polycat, I don't think he can even get one more kill for the points. And there he goes. Enemy's going to take this cat back, and it's going to be GG's.
Well, with CSPS getting a 5-1 victory here, it's going to be a little sad in the lobby here for a little bit.
Konglord just claimed in-game chat that he YOLO'd in the Kodiak because playing the Kodiak was worse than just YOLOing and dying. As a bit of a defeatist attitude, but I was glad to see the Kodiak on the field. I think that's the second time we've seen it this season. The first time was the Spirit Bear. That was friggin' awesome. I think that was just last week too.
Yep. But we go to the score page, and it's a pretty convincing win for JGX, 45-18. A brutal, brutal match. Really, well, it's not 40. It's 19. Sorry, they're not getting credit for a kill that they did get. But
the only mech that JGX lost in that last one's the Vapor Eagle. That was from backstabs from Stimrog. He was the only one that didn't get like high damage numbers. But the rest of JGX, I mean, they just blew it out of the water with the damage. Almost all of them have 2 times the damage numbers of Nod in this match. Nod was just outplayed and outpositioned. But both teams played really well this game. In this whole match, to be honest. Not just this drop, but all the drops.
Let's see if we can't get a refresh here. Yeah, you can really see it in the damage numbers. I mean, when your assaults can't crack 300 damage, you've completely and utterly failed, and you're probably not going to win that drop. Turns out being in a Kodiak is worse than death, especially considering he got less damage than the Wolfhound 2 of JGX. Kraz and the Veagle, he got singled out a couple times throughout this match. Really got singled out in linebacker on RUBELLITE. Go ahead and get them in here for an interview real quick if you can. But singled out on RUBELLITE, singled out again on Tourmaline. Really rough match for him. Tyros took a lot of early trades with that Night-Jeer. Didn't really work out for him, considering he was fighting both the Annihilator and the Corsair. Well.
I just asked them for interviews. We'll give them a minute, see if they show up. But I just want to let both teams know you guys played super well. Nod is, like I said, this is their first season. We got one of them in the waiting room so far. This is Nod's first season as a team. As we know, there's a few ex-EMP players on there, but this is definitely when it comes to when you form a new team, players aren't used to playing together, and it can take years to build up the kind of coordination that teams like JGX have, where they've been using roughly the same roster for 4 or 5 years, and it really shows. The coordination they had was just top-notch Div A material. Not on a couple of those drops. I believe it was just coordination. Lack of playing together in a comp setting for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, like JGX says. I think that's where they got hurt. If you want, you can bring Bowser in for the first interview, and then we can get Crass when he shows up.
Hey, Bowser.
Hello.
Hey, Bowser. GG's tonight.
Yep.
Well played. I saw a lot of AMS on that Terra Therma drop, so you were expecting to clag a lot more than we were. But let's go through a couple of these different maps you guys played through. As OBS almost dies on me. Here we go.
Is JGX coming?
Yeah, Kraz is
there we
supposed to be
go.
here very soon.
There he is.
Hey, Kraz.
How's it going?
GG's.
So, the light fight, Pasha managed to do almost 600 damage.
Combined, yeah.
Yeah, do you really think not going for him was the best idea of Bowser? Letting the medium live?
Yes, because our deck was an entirely kiting deck, and he played it properly by staying in the back. If he had gone with the rest of his team, he would have been focused down. So, if I don't know if you noticed, but our entire deck would snub PPCs. So,
Yeah.
literally, the whole purpose of our deck is to kite. And when he stays at the back, well, and the thing is too, snub PPCs have very little like optimal range. So, like if you're shooting past optimal, they do like nothing. So it's just literally just focusing the people who push up. That's what we did.
Yeah.
Seeing that street cleaner on the battlefield, that brought so much warmth to my heart. I haven't seen that mech in faction play, quick play, or ever being played for so long, and then I see it in this comp, and I was just excited. I wish it did better, but it's still.
It just so happens to be the best urban mech for snub PPCs.
Really, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool addition. I like that, Nick.
So, going on to drop 3, the RUBELLITE drop.
Yeah, this is definitely one I had a question for.
Krez, was the Annihilator called to drop down, or was that just a mistake?
No, that was Grolsch's mistake. Basically lost us the match straight there.
It
Yeah.
really did.
Yeah. No, I chewed Grolsch out for it as soon as he dropped. He said, "Oh, I dropped."
Oh no!
I said, "You motherfucker."
Yeah, if he was in the high ground, that Andy could have got a lot more damage out before he died.
Yeah.
But yeah, as soon as we saw him drop, we were like, "Do they see the Andy over there?" And then of course Nod sees it, and then they just dove on him.
And we thought they were going to rush, but for some reason we decided we are going to take, instead of Bearclaw being in the Grasshopper, he was going to be in a 5 AC2 Jaeger, which would have been much better choice as well against the push deck. But for some reason we just decided not to push it. So yeah, Nod punished us for it for our next selections. Did a good push, so no mistakes.
So
And that happens in Div-A. Like if you make mistakes in Div-A, it's you'll always get punished for it.
Bowser, I gotta know, what was your guys' thoughts when that Andy came down? Was that like a blessing, or was it like, you kind of expected mechs to kind of panic and like fall off their high ground, or at least like?
I mean, no, we didn't expect him to do that. We were just, as soon as we saw it drop, our whole deck was just, I'm sure you guys noticed, as soon as the match started, like looking at our mechs, it's just go, go, go.
Yeah.
So literally just walk it. That was our game plan. Like, I actually want to say this. We had an entirely different deck plan, like, a proper real deck for this map. And then last second, I'm pretty sure we had 3 minutes left on the timer. Everyone change mechs, all YOLO. Pick whatever you want, YOLO, go.
Awesome.
It worked out. One thing that didn't work out was trying to set up the high ground on the Alpine Peaks map. JGX did a really effective.
People did not know what to do when, like, we knew they would do that because we did that in scrims. That exact rush strat, we did that in our scrims, so we knew that they would try and do that. And people were like, "Oh, okay." We had a position for people to go. That was the city wall, and they just kind of went there, and they didn't really like. We had the Nova, if you noticed, all the way in the back. So like people just need to group up, and they didn't. So that's what happened.
Okay. Well, you have taught us how to clag on terra firma, and JGX thankfully has taught.
I'm pretty sure
JGX taught everyone how to clag last week.
Yeah, that's true. That seemed like you guys might have been able to just big dick at JGX, but it seemed like the lurch strat it seemed like whatever plan you guys had just fell apart there actually near the beginning, even before the Jenner got himself yeeted. Because then I saw you guys go on the flank when only one mech was
So our Ultraviolet played too aggressively. He was supposed to play conservative, and the LRM mechs were the ones that were supposed to play aggressively. But regardless, we knew they'd bring a Corsair. Like 4 different people were like, yeah, they're gonna bring a Corsair. And so I'll tell you what I didn't expect. I didn't expect they'd put AMS on everything. So they had like, almost twice as much AMS as just a single Corsair would have provided. So that definitely contributed. But I mean, honestly, that was another deck we just threw together. I'll be real with you. We had a completely different strategy plan, and it's like, well, I'll be honest, a lot of our strategies hinged on winning the duel. And that was a very awkward duel from what I heard from other sources. But
yeah, I had the same problem with my match yesterday. We found out how to make Team 2 work for a Team 2 start and make those strats all work, and then we didn't get Team 2. We ended up getting stuck on Team 1, where all the strats we had were failing in the scrims. We were like, uh-oh. then as people saw, we just fell apart to 42. Yeah, I think the Team 2 start for this week specifically was a stronger start than the Team 1 start would have had, including being Team 2 on like Alpine. And
Yes,
stuff
I think this week's rotation was highly imbalanced, but that's just my opinion.
I kind of like the imbalance, to be personally. It makes the 1v1 more important.
But not to the point of literally hinging winner loss on the 1v1. But
I don't think it makes that much difference. They're definitely favoured for Team 2, but I don't think it's that huge. We had the same strategies, very similar strategies for the other sides as well. I think they would have worked quite nicely there.
I don't have any more questions. I do have one statement to make. Bowser, that Direwolf build was badass in like every measure of the word. 4 ERPs and 2 Gauss. This thing was screaming, I dare you to alpha me.
Can you survive our alpha with that, Bowser?
No.
I did think so. It was definitely an interesting, clever like mech that
I'll tell you. So on that tournament drop, we literally were just like, everyone take whatever mech you want. That's actually what we did. Everybody take whatever mech you want.
Didn't work out so well, did it though?
Well, Stibrog did. He ate your ass so hard.
Yeah, he played really
that
well.
was good. That was.
Yeah. I was looking for him, and he timed it perfectly both times.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna put any blame on anyone. So I mean, we took whatever mech we wanted. So.
Well,
JGX, you guys showed a lot of patience through a lot of these different drops. Really coordinated on the pushes, and again, holding the position on the Terra Therma drop, just massing the AMS and staying in cover.
Yeah. We predicted they were going to bring Clag when they dropped that heavy.
How much?
That's the response to it.
You had a couple push decks, but are you more comfortable with trading as a team, or you guys try and vary it week to week?
No, we do it depending on what we think stronger. So we typically will look at, like, if we're going to want to trade or want to push, and then whichever one's stronger we'll go with. And then it also, of course, it depends on what you think that the enemy's going to bring. So I mean, it just varies. You can do either one. It's,
Gotcha.
I mean, the light drops you always want to bring, brawling, so that doesn't really make a difference. But Alpine was a good one. I really enjoyed looking at Alpine because I thought there was a lot of different strategies and stuff you could do with that particular map.
Yeah, I would say Alpine was actually, sorry to interrupt you, I think Alpine is actually probably the most interesting of all the maps on this rotation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd agree with you, Bowser. Yeah.
There's dozens of ways to approach the Alpine for that gamma cap, and I think, yes, like you said, it's one of the most hardest maps to plan. For me, it was to plan a deck around because there's like 4, 5, 6 different strats your opponent can do in pathing that, and then you have to figure out what's the best place to position your guys to counter as the most possible strats that your enemy is going to do. So yeah,
I will mention, Bowser, I thought you were going to bring your dual PPC Ice Ferret because I found it was pretty strong on that map.
It is very strong, but
yeah, I was expecting to see you in that. Obviously, the Vapor Eagle's got like more tonnage and more cooling. But yeah, I was. The
Vapor Eagle was brought because it trades harder against like disadvantage, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I understand that point. I was dreading at the end there, like we had to chase down Stimrog. I was expecting we were going to have to chase down you and that Ice Ferret, and you're running off to Zimbabwe. Because it's very difficult to catch that mech, and it can put out a lot of nice damage over time. Well, anyway, I have to go, boys. Thank you very much for casting, and thank you, Bowser, for the matches.
Congrats on winning the season.
Cheers, man.
And cheers to you guys all. From everybody at MWO Leagues, we're looking forward to a week 6 and hopefully a lot less LRMs, but we'll go through it all, and hopefully I'll have level casting with me come week 7. I'll actually miss next week, so.
Yeah, I'll definitely come back and cast with you for week 7. I think that's it for us today, isn't it?
It is. See you guys.
See you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the game. It's definitely interesting.